Thanks, Aaron and Rupa, for your keen analysis of the market. Once again, that topic of MEF 3.0 certification comes up. And in fact, 4 of the top 7 US market leaders are now SD-WAN certified. And MEF's professional certification is a key ingredient for that success. So now, we've heard market insights from analysts and we've gotten executive perspectives from influential players, but we have not yet heard from MEF, our event organizer. And I think it's time that we do.
Well, I want to welcome Aamir and Nan. It's so great to have you on the session. This is going to be a very exciting session. And really, I wanted to cover a couple of really major topics, especially around SD-WAN, SASE. It's some really hot areas in the market. End-to-end slicing, zero trust. These are really important areas. So what I'd love to know there, Aamir, it's so great and privileged to have you. You're such a luminary and thought leader. And I'd love to know, the SD-WAN market has been super hot for quite a long time, continues to evolve. What are the key value points? What are the key, what's driving the market? What's the customer experience? And why is it so popular? Can you help me with that?
Well, that's a great question, Pascal. SD-WAN is something closer to my heart. I've been working on it for many years, and both from a provider perspective and just being a technologist and evangelist, this is something I've seen grown and really prosper over time. The market has really exploded, really. Over the last 2 or 3 years, customers have gone from just dabbling into technology, understanding it, to full adoption of the service. And it's moving quickly for many number of reasons, right? So one, at most organizations over a period of time, enterprise companies, they have to upgrade their hardware. At that point in time, they start to look at technology that they can use that will get them to the latest and greatest technology without the large capital outlay they will take otherwise. In the legacy world, they will have to buy a lot of network and do all these things themselves. Now they can relegate to an outsourced provider or a technology company that can give them all the benefits without the large capital outlay, at the same time keep them up to date with refresh. So with SD-WAN, things like application-aware networking, more effective use of multi-cloud, multi-networking solutions, and really feature functionality that comes with it at a cost structure that is a lot different from just building big routers and switches into your data centers and managing it yourself and just staying up to date with technology. That's one of the reasons why customers want it. Second, there's a lot of options available for customers. Customers from a provider perspective, customers used to buy very heavy technology-centric solutions from telcos. And that hasn't changed much today, but what I am seeing right now is the customer's attitude is changing, where they want to use new technology as a backup solution, for example, right? When they need overflow on traffic, they would like to get something like SD-WAN in lieu of MPLS or IP and use that to maintain reliability and security at a different cost structure. So those are some of the reasons why customers really want to excel with SD-WAN, and they're adopting it.
But so really, there's a lot of features to SD-WAN, as you know, and I would love to know, from your point of view, what are these features that your customers are thinking they need today, and where do you see this feature set evolving in the future? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too, please.
Well, look, being SD-WAN being a software native technology, and where the hardware and software are completely disaggregated, it allows for better application control, better integrated security. Customers have a choice to use their own security within SD-WAN or use whatever comes native with the SD-WAN vendor. Integration with hyperscalers, transport agnostic solutions, being able to get broadband on a large geographical spread of locations across multiple broadband vendors, but getting the same experience is important, and an SD-WAN experience provides for that. Virtualization of networking, and really simple and consistent experience, regardless of the size of the organization, regardless of their mission and need. they will have a simple control that will allow them to manage their own applications if they choose to do so, and get a consistent experience that they get with hyperscalers today. I mean, most of their applications are actually moving to the cloud. If you look at a medium or large enterprise, 9 times out of 10, their ERP or CRM would be running in the cloud, and they would want connectivity to the cloud data center, and they want to manage it at their terms. They want to receive the right SLA, but have full control of their application. And SD-WAN, really enables that. To top that, global reach is an important factor. I mean, we've got many customers that we support who really want full global reach. I mean, we just sold a very large deal with 127 countries enabled on this type of a solution. And having the same experience, same control on your applications, regardless of underlying broadband, where we aggregate everything else and provide services to the customer. These are all the reasons why a customer want these type of feature functionality, and they will continue to evolve over time.
Yeah, you make a very good point. I mean, everything's going clouds, and wow, that's incredible how you have to manage so many countries, I guess, both from an overlay and underlay point of view. So yes, absolutely agree. This is there are many, many feature sets emerging that have to really solve a lot of points. And I think you hit it right spot on. So switching topics to Nan. Nan, MEF has been playing a significant role in SD-WAN. Why is this important that you believe, MEF's embarked on this SD-WAN vision? And why is this so important to the members, both the end users, the service providers, the cloud providers? Like, where do you see the MEF's role in this whole area, please?
That's a good question. It's almost like carrier Ethernet. We are removing a market confusion will really allow SD-WAN market to grow faster and transform the entire WAN market worldwide. SD-WAN transformed current managed networks by allowing them to be application-centric, software programmable, like Aamir mentioned. Most of the service providers have significant investment and revenue tied to the managed services. An enterprise worldwide want the WAN networks to be application performance enabled, highly available, connecting to all kinds of destinations. 127, like Aamir mentioned, including the cloud providers, and using a software programmable approach. MEF is a leading industry organization, really shaping the direction and growth of SD-WAN services. And through the standardization, certification of services, technology, and professionals. Dozens of MEF members companies and has contributed to the related standards development, as well as participating in the POC or a certification of services technologies. Earlier this year, one of the largest buyer of connectivity services in the world called upon its suppliers to align with the MEF SD-WAN standards, which is a great thing. Really expecting a lot of enterprise to seek alignments, especially as more providers achieve the MEF 3.0 certification.
Yeah, so Dan, you've been the president for a very long time, I think from the very beginning at MEF. So you've really seen this come a long way from basically, driving this Ethernet vision into the wide area network. And now you're seeing this, the next iteration of MEF is basically having this overlay model of SD-WAN. So kudos for you for keep driving this over and over and keep moving the vision and the ball forward in the market. So really, really good. So getting back to Aamir, we talk about, this carrier Ethernet underlay, high speed and overlay, and then we're talking about automation, orchestration. What do you think about this underlay overlay model, Aamir, and why is this so important to really get this, including the orchestration automation? Could you help us with that? I know Verizon has a tremendous amount of investment in the underlays and now in SD-WAN overlays. So great to hear your thoughts.
No, great question again, right? Look, this is all about scale. I mean, it's one thing to have technology that works perfectly. It's yet another ball game to provide scale in a consistent manner with the right experience, right? So to drive that scale, one need automation, and orchestration is really the key that drives automation for these services to be delivered across different networks. So whether it's wireless file line network, whether it's different countries, whether it's different broadband aggregation services that works, which are the underlay on which this overlay runs, it needs to be consistent. So we've invested a lot in our own orchestration engines, and we need to make sure that this is the engine that pulls together all components that support the management and deployment of the services. That is the key, right? So SD-WAN is just a way to get the services out there, but once you have software-defined networking in general, we need more standards on orchestration that everybody can benefit from. And a thing like having the right orchestration actually allows for faster integration of services across all type of network configurations, and it will also help enable use of artificial intelligence, machine learning, use of data into the network, so that the customer experience, self-healing, and other things become much more prominent in what we do. So I'm a big fan of having the right level of orchestration and automation to help really drive these type of services forward.
To me, what we really want to do from MEF perspective is really trying to deliver end-to-end frictionless experience from device to application services, regardless the customer location or access devices. And an overlay model like SD-WAN really enables application performance management tunnels over any kind of underlay, regardless of wireline or wireless, with the requirement of many kind of digital services like AR, VR, and machine learning, like Aamir mentioned. Will require a programmable overlay like SD-WAN with any link access underlays, whether it's a carrier Ethernet, 5G, IP, MPLS, IP broadband, to access the edge computing, the computing services. So that's kind of the way we see this transpired.
Yeah. So Nan, good point on a lot of your statements, man. What I think is real important, the edge is coming in. We're seeing this in droves, the distributed cloud. Everybody's talking about the edge. SASE is a really hot area. Zero trust, everybody's talking about identity and access control. And then also, MEF's been working on both SASE and zero trust, but we're also working on this universal SD-WAN edge for the clouds and the edges of the clouds and the edges of the service provider networks. Any thoughts in that area?
Yeah, it's a really exciting area. MEF has a dozen active SD-WAN SASE-related initiative to enable SD-WAN and SASE work together. Some of our key goals are to deliver market efficiency, establish a baseline set of expectations while encouraging innovation on top of that base, and to help ensure service providers are in a better position to deliver type of solutions optimized for work from anywhere environment. With the emerging of edge computing being distributed to more locations everywhere, SD-WAN now really requires some level of minimal interoperability so that every edge and the cloud edge points doesn't require the implementation of every SD-WAN vendor's proprietary technologies. Now with SASE, our goal is really align the industry on a converged SD-WAN security and a policy framework that can be used by enterprises and service providers to transform consumption of cloud services and application in form of SASE services.
Yeah, thanks, Nan. Aamir, any thoughts on that? I know you've been driving, Verizon has been driving a ton of impact in the edges, and especially with some hyperscale cloud providers and all that. So how do you see this kind of SASE, universal SD-WAN edge, zero trust, all kind of come together with SD-WAN and so on? I mean, you're seeing it all, so I'd love to hear your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I think Nan touched on a lot of stuff. The only thing I would add, if you look at the unifying characteristics of all the technologies and architectures, they're all software driven. They're all next generation technologies that run in the cloud. And by disaggregating the hardware from networking, we are now able to start doing far more interesting things with the network and its capabilities that we were able to do before. Things like better security, application-aware networking, where network is much more aware of application and application is much more aware of network. So you got to tie these things together now. This also helps provide a much better secure experience on what I call network on demand or network as a service, secure service, Now you couple that with more slicing and prioritization, you've got a perfect world, right? Becomes critical when edge are completely distributed with applications running in the cloud, where edge applications have to become much more network centric and network aware so they can respond to all the changes that are going to happen in the network. The network world is changing much faster than it had over the last decade. And for it to be successful, we need to make sure a perfect combination of the software technologies that enables this type of a change into the distributed hardware infrastructure that is out in the cloud now. So again, I would echo Nan's comments. There's a lot of technologies out there. The good thing is it's all software that could be managed perfectly now from cloud, and it provides for an opportunity to do seamless integration between software and hardware.
Yeah, and I think in our last episode, someone said networking is cool. And I love that because it really is. Networking is cool. I've been around for such a long time networking, and it's great to see, networking is the underpinning for, digital transformation. And it's not just networking, it's a very intelligent network, as we talked about with intelligence application policies and application awareness and security now and so on. So it's really great. So, there's been this drive with 5G. 5G is everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. And with 5G, we're seeing this concept of slicing. So, Aamir, I'd love to hear your thoughts about, with what is slicing, and then how, we're working now in MEF on end-to-end slicing, and why is this important? Not just slicing on the 5G, but end-to-end slicing plays a very significant role, and somehow it relates to all of this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on end-to-end slicing.
Sure. Look, if you think about it, end-to-end slicing is not really a new way of managing a network. MPLS and SD-WAN networks provide at least some of this functionality already. However, 5G slicing just takes it to a completely new level, right? It provides for differentiated applications on the wireless link that gets mapped to what you might have on the wireline link. Because at the end of the day, at end of every wireless connection, at the back end, there's a wireline connection. And customer applications usually flow from an endpoint to your nearest edge platform, to a data center, your closed data center in the vicinity that you work in, all the way to a cloud architecture and cloud data center. And you got to map this thing end to end. So there's a ton of opportunity in that space. Customers do benefit from these new capabilities by being able to use the services much more efficiently and probably more important in much more secure fashion. Of course, the ability to use the available bandwidth more efficiently is obviously one of the key considerations here, because the notion of taking a portion of the network and allocating it to your most important function and dedicating it to you, whether it's going through wireless or wireline, is kind of a new notion. But this thing has existed in the past. Now we just have more use cases and the technology that allows for that ease of integration and deployment through a single provider with flexibility inside and outside the four walls that didn't exist. So with all these reasons, slicing is going to definitely differentiate us. It will help us manage the 8 currencies of 5G that we manage. We always talk about things like reliability, security, sensor densification, higher speed. I can go on. But being able to take an application that requires that special attention and being able to dedicate that network for a period of time on demand and have the customers provide the ability to use it and pay for it when they want it, that is not possible with network slicing.
Yeah, I think Aamir covers most the benefit of slicing and why it's so important taking the actual end-to-end service to a next level with 5G. And in terms of the slicing from MEF perspective, and I think the idea really here is that enterprise could buy a set of several network slices like real-time, premium, for example, business or best ever standards, really regardless of the underlying transport technologies, including wireline and 5G. And this making buying underlying services very easy and simple. no more, there's a need to understand each of the underlying technologies and performance objectives they deliver. And this end-to-end slicing could really traverse the whole retail or wholesale transport network partner ecosystem to date, without dealing the exact configuration of different transport technology on partners' networks. So it's really revolutionary. I think it's also important to recognize that the network slicing is really a simple way for the first time in the industry we can potentially commercialize the slicing, the end of the slicing from 5G perspective as well as the end-to-end perspective, and gave the users opportunity to be able to, like Aamir mentioned, to map the applications to different slices and to deliver that kind of quality service as well as the securities and to those applications for a period of time or on demand. So it's a really exciting area.
Yeah, very good points. Aamir, congratulations. Verizon was achieved MEF 3.0 certification here just in January. And I'd love to know your thoughts of why is this certification valuable, the importance of it. Again, kudos to Verizon.
Well, thank you, Pascal. Look, I cannot overstate the importance of the certification. And MEF has a huge role to play in this. MEF has taken on the task of not only standardizing SD-WAN practice, but also allowing for interoperability between a standard understanding of SD-WAN, how it gets implemented in the customer environments within our partners and vendors. So it has taken a much more difficult task and made it simple and understandable by us, by our customers. So we have the same definition of what we are talking about. When you go out and sell these type of services, and you manage customer networks, it is important that we are talking apples to apples. So MEF has helped create that. We see a real value in in bringing this type of certification to our customers. And I tell you, I encourage everybody in our ecosystem, every provider, to actually pursue this effort because it helps standardize an understanding of a technology that continues to change and evolve over time. It validates to our customers and vendors that the SD-WAN technology is actually supportable and sustainable into the future, right? So we talked about network slicing. We talked about getting SD-WAN to work with SASE or whatnot. It is going to get more and more complex because more and more functions are going to become available in software. And when you want to service chain all these things and have them work together, having one level of understanding and standardization and certification is extremely important. So, kudos to MEF for getting it done for everyone, and I'm very, very appreciative of all the support that we received in getting this standardization. So, thank you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Aamir. I think it's everybody is contributing to the certification program, and for your leadership as chairman of the board here, Aamir, I really appreciate your leadership here as well. I think that's driving the momentum of overall MEF 3.0 SD-WAN certification, both from services perspective and technology perspective. More than a dozen service providers and vendors has achieved the MEF 3.0 SD-WAN certifications as far. More in the pipeline. There's including, we mentioned earlier, Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, PCCW Global, Spectrum Enterprise, Telia, Windstream, Vodacom, South Africa, vendors including VMware, Versa Networks, and Neuraj Networks, and Fortinet and InfoVista. So it's a great momentum. We see this thing going to continue to grow as we move on throughout the year.
Well, that's an incredible list. I'm amazed you can remember all that. That's great. I actually think certification is very critical. We saw that in Wi-Fi, right? You never think about go anywhere and you buy Wi-Fi, everything just plugs and play and it works because everything's certified. I think it's a very important aspect. I actually believe in wholeheartedly, and I'm glad MES has embarked in not only leading certification from Carrier Ethernet days, now adding to SD-WAN. And that leads me to the next question. Aamir, we were incubating, this idea of SASE And with SASE, the security functions, and then zero trust eventually will add to that. It's a very important aspect to identity access control. But how do you see, unlike the other way we did testing and certification, it could be one time and be done. But now with security, you always continuously have to test and certify because malware and cyber threats coming and they're changing all the time. So what's your thoughts on that, and how do you think we go about that from MEF as we release these standards and certifications? What's your thoughts on how that will come about?
So Pascal, as you mentioned, the current incubation group is really focused on testing and certification of the application security part of the SD-WAN, right? So methodology for security testing, its life cycle, certifying functions like malware detection, removal, and URL filtering or whatnot. When you think of SASE, it's something actually new, right? So in the industry, everyone is still trying to figure out what's the right definition of SASE, what that really means. From an operator perspective, from our perspective, SASE services are really expected to provide an optimal combination of networking and security for a given subscriber by really distributing the networking security functions dynamically across the SASE chain, across the SASE service path. Really, truly based on service provider and subscriber policies that could be dynamically arranged to provide security on a virtual network. So if you agree with that definition, then it can be used by the service providers and enterprises in a way where they can change the way things work on a service chain dynamically as they want through a policy chain. So if you think of this, it does require a bit more work from both the industry and MEF to ensure that we are looking at it across the spectrum. The biggest challenge I see is there's no universally agreed definition, as I said, on what a SASE is. I mean, it didn't come out of like standards, so there's no standard definition. But from our evaluation so far, I don't think a single provider of SASE can meet all the demands the customers are asking for. Because I go talk to a lot of enterprise customers about their view of SASE. I can tell you right now, everyone has a different definition. I'm also hearing from our partners, that their gear or their software is SASE-tized already, and it's a new way of pushing SASE in the industry, and that means there's a need for standardization. There's a need for us to get everybody together and make sure that we certify services, which is a combination of multiple things that I just talked about. As background, the various SASE vendors come from different origins, and based on that, either excel at networking or SD-WAN or security or zero trust. I haven't seen one that has all these elements, right? So when it comes to certification, we need to make sure that we've got a group that is well versed in all this and that looks at it across the SASE path, looks at networking, security, and all of these elements that, in my view, and in our customers' view, on what they're looking for. So it's going to be a long tail. There's quite a bit of work that's required, but I'm really, really happy that that's something MEF has taken up. And I think it will help drive standardization, collaboration, and a great customer experience, for that matters, for SASE services for our customers.
You make a very good point, Aamir. SASE's now become the new buzz and the hype, and it's very confusing to really decode what is all the parts of that. I know Gartner defined it initially, gave some basic loose level definitions of it, but since then we've seen everybody jumping on the SASE bandwagon, and it's really hard to figure out and decode the parts of that, and then finally to get the common vocabulary, terminology, and then certification. I think you're right. It's a long tail approach, and or it's going to be a long tail journey for us to get on and to get the industry all agreeing and finally standardizing. But great news that MEF is well down the path. We're doing a lot of work in both SASE and zero trust, and I'm really excited when we finally get to certification. So thank you, Aamir. Nan, we talked about certification in services and product, but MEF's been doing a lot on professional certification. So what's happening on that front? Can you help us?
Yeah, it was really exciting to hear that a lot of people are very, very much interested in the professional certification. I think, as you know, we have over 6,500 CECPs certified. Building on top of that, and as of this week, we have 488 MEF certified SDCP, so-called MEF SDCPs. That's come from nearly 100 companies in over 33 countries. So it's a not only just the technology and service certification and making a wave in the industry, but the professionals are really taking the industry by storm in terms of the SD-WAN. So we see an incredible momentum in professional certification.
So look, hey, Nan, Aamir, I work with you in the MEF. You're at the board level. I work with you, reporting to you guys at the board level. And it's always such a pleasure working with you guys, the industry luminaries. And also, it's so amazing. The board is, someone talked about, it's like being inside the Justice League of America. And not just America, we're from all over the world, but it's literally, you guys are like the superstars of networking, the Justice League. I think someone talked about it. So it's really a privilege to be with you guys on the board and the CTO of MEF. So with that, I want to thank you for their time and for this session. And I'd like to thank all the audience. So take care.
Thank you, Pascal.
Thank you, Pascal. Want to be like you, rock star.